Hi, I'm Marco Messina, and welcome to More Ways to Make It with Skrill, the payments app that lets you move money fast across Forex platforms worldwide. Now, if you're into Forex trading, or if you're thinking about getting into it, you'll definitely want to listen to what my next guest has to say. He's been on trading floors since he was 16, started as an analyst when he was 18, and has been honing his skills day in and day out for over 10 years. After escaping the corporate world, he now shares tips, straight up advice, and breaks down Forex trading to thousands of followers online. When it comes to understanding the Forex market, there isn't a guest in the world I would trade him for. Let's get chatting with my fellow Skriller and Forex expert, Ken Chigbo, also known as Ken FX Freak. Ken, welcome, and thanks for being on More Ways to Make It with Skrill.
Thank you very much, Marco. It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How you doing? You doing well?
Bro, I'm always well. I'm always lit. You know, that's my positive. That's my like slogan. You know, stay lit, baby. I used to, when I was in London, I had a big sign on my wall, and it's my slogan: "Stay lit, baby." Just say, always stay positive. Always see the good in everything.
I love that. I love that. What a way to start. Amazing. So listen, Ken. You know, we know before we get down to the business, I know you're a big fan of travel, right?
Huge.
Okay, there we go. So listen, once all the restrictions are lifted and we're safe again to travel, is there one place you want to go most?
Yeah, back to what I'd class my second home, Bali. I can't even remember, I can't count how many times I've been there. Just that, as soon as I can, back to Bali. Everyone's so relaxed, right? I'm used to, you know, London, the hustle and bustle. I've been back and forth with London and Dubai. It's great lifestyle, but very fast paced. But when you're in Bali, you know, as soon as you step off that plane, the culture is just so slow, so relaxed, so spiritual. You know, you wake up in the morning, you hear chickens, just nature. And, you know, it's just so fresh, clean. Yeah, that's why, bro. I just feel so relaxed there.
That sounds beautiful.
That sounds really beautiful. That's what I was looking for.
There we go. I like it. So you wake up to nature over there. The only thing we wake up to in New York is like the fire truck going by. So that sounds nice.
Yeah, well, in London, it's always, you're always hearing some sort of sirens.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So Ken, that trip doesn't sound cheap. So I guess we need to start getting into what makes you be able to pay for it. I want to go back to the beginning because I know you had an interesting, but also challenging start. So how did you even get into Forex trading?
Well, Forex trading, it started, as I say, I was 16. So I was 16. Fortunately enough, I had a mother still around. She was an accountant for a group of traders. So she got me like a summertime job on a trade floor. So I was a runner. So I'd be getting these traders like lunches, their breakfasts, lunches, dinners, dry cleaning, running errands, sometimes going to meet their mums and giving them all sorts. So yeah, I got an opportunity as a runner, a T-boy, basically. T-boy at the bottom of the chain. That's how I sort of stumbled upon it. And then, you know, my passion, my interest rather, just grew since then. So when I was coming out to this trade floor, you know, you'd see all this energy, these people at their screens, all these flickering prices, you know, all mixed emotions. Sometimes people are like, you know, as extreme as this, punching their screen, you know, either out of joy or anger. And I just saw so much energy expended. And that's where I was gripped onto it. So it's just being this T-boy on this trading floor in London.
That's awesome. And what's so funny is that, do you think that job obviously helped like humble you down and really understand what the grittiness to it? Because as we're on, you know, More Ways to Make It with Skrill, we've learned that so many people come from similar upbringings where they've had, you know, maybe a job that they had that they realized, okay, I want to be doing something else, or I want to have this vision. Was it a similar aspect for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I saw these guys, like they were young guys as well. So obviously I was only young, just 16. And I saw a lot of these young guys, you know, from sort of 2021, and the way in which obviously they were handling things, some good examples, some bad, but just seeing the way in which these guys handled money, you know, seeing how you know, because these guys were sometimes losing thousands, if not gaining thousands per day. So there I started grasping what money really is, and, you know, just how you need to look after your money. If you don't look after your money, you know, you're not going to be able to look after yourself. So yeah, I hope that sort of answers your question.
No, for sure, for sure. And then obviously you were a runner for a little while, which makes sense. And then you were able to become an analyst. How did that come about?
So between 16 and 18, before I got to 18, so I was always going back during any summer holidays that I had, summer or Easter breaks. I was going there, just showing how hungry and tenacious I was. I used to do, like, when I was obviously getting people's, you know, running their errands, I'd chat a lot, network. I had my head switched on. Even though I was only young, I had my head switched on because, you know, I just grew so hungry and interested in this industry. So then I started speaking to a couple of guys, stayed in contact with them while I went to complete my A-levels. Then I did my A-levels and I actually fell short by 1 grade for my desired university. My dad was absolutely furious because I was supposed to be going quite a good university. And then my second choice was just not great at all. So I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do? I just remembered, like, shaking on that call to my dad, and he's like, you're a failure. I was like, wow, okay. And then, so what I did do, I just used my initiative. I sent an email to these guys that I'd spoken to, that I'd been networking with on the trade floor. I was like, look, this is my current situation. Obviously, you saw how much, you know, how much energy I have, how much I love what you guys do. Is there something that you can potentially do for me? And eventually they came back to me and gave me a 2-week trial, you know, as an analyst.
Wow. Yeah. I love that you are, you know, humble enough to just, like, throw all your chips on the table and be like, hey, this is my situation, and if you could help me out. And I guess sometimes when you're that honest, you're able to, you know, actually be able to get an opportunity. And I know you mentioned about your father, which is obviously, you know, like the markets, big up and down. Did you have any other highs and lows while going through this?
A lot. Like, so obviously there's a massive difference from simply just being someone's T-boy to then going on and having to digest all this data. You know, I was 18, you know, absorbing so just let me walk you through my day. Obviously, it started at just before 6 a.m. So I'd have to come in, set up all the terminals. We were in front of like 30 screens. Now, it's probably physically impossible for a human to digest so much data, but it had to be done. So I'd having to turn all these screens, go through all of, like, the news, you know, see what's happened in the news, because this is what traders are trading. They're trading the news, like what's going on in the economy, what's going on in politics. And my job was to try and understand this. Like, I hadn't even had any background or working knowledge, of course, of that. So I had to quickly try and hit the ground running and learn, just constantly reading and understanding what's impacting what these guys are trading. So the lows were certainly just trying to absorb all this data. It got overwhelming. You know, there are times I was obviously still at the time living at home, going home to my mum, just like upset. I was like, I'm really struggling to do this, because not only was I getting there before 6 a.m., I wasn't leaving till like 6, 7 p.m. So this is like going from, you know, just being in school, doing a T-boy job, to then going working 13, sometimes even 14 hours a day, trying to learn something like a new language almost. So that there was some major lows there. The highs, eventually, after almost feeling the need to quit, when there was a turning point where I felt the need to quit, but then things started to click. They started to get ingrained. So that was like a massive high for me. It's like, wow, this is actually making a little bit of sense now. So yeah, it was initially a lot of downs, to be honest with you, a lot, because I couldn't understand it. But the ups came when I was actually able to start understanding what I was reading, and then obviously feeding that out to traders and them actually coming up to me, because basically there was a trade floor, the main trade floor. We were in another office, and what we was like, so we were speaking on just like a mic, you know, everything that we're seeing, everything that's impacting what they're trading over like a radio service. And there was a time I came out from just being in there for most of the day, came out to go and sort out some dinner in the kitchen. One of the traders came up to me. He's like, Ken, thank you so much for basically I delivered a bit of news for him. There's like a major announcement. We got it quite fast. I picked it up fast, digested it, and fed it out to these guys. And one of these guys came up to me and said, "You made me a lot of money today, just how quick you were." And then he tried to, get me to do more stuff for him personally, which I couldn't do. But yeah, so that was that.
Did that moment, by the way, did that really impact you and like hit something deep inside of you where you're like, oh my God, I know I really love this?
Yeah, definitely. Like, do you know, I'll tell you what, actually, the first thing I thought of was my dad, because my dad is traditional sort of African man. I mean, he was born in Scotland and, but his parents are Nigerian. So he's very well educated. My dad's got like 4 degrees. And for me, and for our family, for our family, it was about being very well educated, having degrees, knowledgeable. And the fact that I did not have a degree, I was instantly just put into this bracket of being a failure, because I wasn't going to go on and do something in a profession with my life. So when that happened, I received that gratitude from this trader because of something that I was able to understand and feed out quickly. I think I instantly thought my dad's like, look, I can actually do this. I didn't need a degree to do this. I just worked hard. Yeah, I felt like accomplished in myself just because I could then tell my dad this, look, things are going well. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And of course, I also, similar story with Italian parents. So I understand their traditional mentality, but it's amazing that you were able to, find your own way to make it either way and really believe in yourself, as the world was changing and so many new opportunities arose. So credit to you for that. I know you had 4 years as an analyst and then 4 years as a foreign exchange broker. Was there any time where you had a Eureka moment where you knew you were onto something?
Yes. So yeah, I'll talk you through that transition. So after basically working analyst for around 4 years, I just hit a bit of an earning capacity. I felt myself in career progression in this particular company. It was basically, I was watching one day on CNBC. There was a guy talking on there, and he was a foreign exchange broker. Started doing a bit of research into foreign exchange broking. This was deliverable foreign exchange. So with deliverable foreign exchange, you are handling businesses' FX requirements. When these guys dealing with importers and exporters, they need to exchange their pounds to dollars to buy, I don't know, something from China, millions. So there's a lot of money involved there. Now, I thought the way in which this guy was talking, he knew about the markets like myself. And I could see the way he carried himself, the way he spoke. He looked quite, quite wealthy. Not just money, but in mind as well. And I thought, let me try and do this. Let me try and do this Forex broking thing. So I looked into it, managed to land a job role. And it was simply down to my knowledge that I had accrued as an analyst. They probably thought, okay, this guy can bring something here because he's quite knowledgeable on the markets, been in the front line. So then I dived into foreign exchange. Now, the Eureka moment was just the way in which I was actually able to save a lot of businesses money and helping them with their risk. Because when you're transacting millions of dollars from doing pounds to dollars, any move in the market is significant on a company's bottom line. Especially if they're working on tight margins. If the market's moving and they're unaware of that and the timing, then it's going to cost them a lot of money. So the fact that I was able to use my knowledge, those 4 years as an analyst, to help them protect their risk, because I knew what's going on in the economy. I knew what's going on the political side of things. I can help you save a lot of money. And that's what I was doing. So I was helping businesses. And of course, as rewards, I was receiving bonuses, which were very quickly racking up in that sort of industry, in that role I was working in.
That's so true. I never would have even thought about that, but that's why you're the expert. That's crazy. And when did you get your big break? Like the moment that you knew that you could leave your 9 to 5 behind?
The big break. So, you know what? I'll be honest with you, Marco. It was more of I'd hit a bottom with myself, with everything. So, it was all well and good. It was great. Okay, I did my 4 years as an analyst. I learned so much. I exhausted every bit of energy that I had in me from those 12 to 14 hour days. Then I started getting rewarded for all of that knowledge that I had gained. I started getting rewarded for that, working as a Forex broker, receiving those bonuses, nice money as well. Still, as I say, still absorbing the industry and taking a lot away from that invaluably. But it came to a point when I felt like, man, I don't have much. One, I don't have much purpose in my life. Okay, it's all well and good that I've got monetary wise, I'm sorted, but I didn't have much purpose. Also, the fact that I just, sorry, yeah, it still hits me. It sends shivers down my spine. I just was not in a good place. Okay, I was not in a good place mentally. I didn't like the corporate world. I had enough of it. Just the way in which they dictated to me my life. I didn't have much control over it. So I thought, look, let me get my act together a minute. I was able to get my act together for like the last year in which I worked within the corporate world. And I got my act together, put together an exit strategy, all that knowledge that I built over the years in terms of understanding the way in which the markets work. See, this is what I mean. This is not a quick job for any trader that wants to come and start trading financial markets. This is years in the making. So all of that knowledge that I'd gained as an analyst, all that further knowledge and reading I was doing when I shifted jobs into a Forex broker, I then put a plan together of how I was going to go and leave the corporate world by one, obviously saving money, saving capital, saving. Two, perfecting my craft, constantly reading in terms of, because I was then going to transition from that broker role into a trader because all that knowledge I'd built up. And then three, just finally able to, be content with myself in terms of what I wanted and the vision of what I wanted, where my purpose was going to be. So yeah, it was a dark place initially before I started seeing a bit of light and things flourishing.
That's a beautiful message, and really power to you for being able to push to that moment and really find what you loved, and not just settling to be happy or to conform to what your family wanted or what anyone else wanted around you. So really credit to you. To change a little bit, I wanted to ask you about psychology as well, because I'm sure that it changed the way that you're thinking. How important is psychology in trading, in your trading strategy? Can you tell me about that?
It's everything. Okay. So we'll go into trading, but if you don't have the right psychology with any craft that you do, you're not going to grow, because, psychology comes down to, being disciplined, trying to motivate yourself, hustling. If you don't have the right mindset, you cannot push on. So with trading specifically, I'd say the psychology is like 80%. What you learn is 20%, because what you learn, you then build like a plan around this. So you build a plan from what you learn, some rules to trade by, and then you have to stick to these rules. You have to stick to these rules, and so you would have taken time to learn these rules, and okay, they work. So now it's my job that I must stick to these rules. For the normal human being, like trading in general, is that we don't have, it's well outside human tendencies, because one, we can't be greedy as traders. Two, naturally as human beings, we're not as disciplined as we should be. And three, ego takes over. So with trading, you have to stick to your rules, even when things aren't working. They don't always go away. There's times that we have losing streaks, and we have to be disciplined enough to stay, on track to our plan, because we know this plan works, but it's just going through the motion, going through the ups and the downs, and you have to follow through with it. Because if you then start chopping and changing, that's going to make things even worse. You need to stick to your plan and make little tweaks and optimize. So yeah, psychology is like everything. On the trading front. I wanted to mention one more thing actually, while we're on the side of psychology. If I did not get my head right, with myself in terms of what I wanted, my purpose, my vision, started believing and understanding like the power of manifestation, the power of, what you think you become, from before I left my corporate role to then transition into what I wanted to do and what I loved and what I established was my purpose, to go and trade and to add value to people's lives. If I didn't get that right there, done. I would still be, God knows where I'd be right now. I know I would not be where I am right now. I'd be in a probably a lot worse situation. So yeah, mindset is everything.
And now what I love about that, speaking about, the mentality, you started to perfect your craft, obviously, and I could assume you started to make, good money. What was this in your head where you said, you decided to start sharing this knowledge for others to be able to be helped just like you were?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's, again, it comes down to fulfillment. So obviously I could see again, after some time, so it wasn't, when I'd left the corporate world and started trading, the first few months I was losing money. And this is what it came down to. Again, it was whether or not to start deviating away from a plan I knew that worked, to then start chopping and changing. I stuck to my course. I had obviously an emergency fund anyway to keep me going, but I stuck to my plan and just made little tweaks, carried on optimizing what I was doing. And then I was able to start making money, but I wasn't making money right away. I was losing. Now, onto your point, when I started actually making money, and I was doing very well with my own capital, again, it came down to that thing, what I mentioned when I left the corporate world, having no purpose, adding no value to the world but myself. It's again, it's a strange thing. I get, I'm always like this, even for just every day. I'm like, how can I further add value to people's lives? So anyway, I decided that I wanted to start pushing out some content. So I jumped on Instagram back in 2016. This was still kind of new to when I'd left and started trading on my own. Jumped on Instagram and started pushing out value. I just picked up the camera, recorded myself speaking about what's going on in the markets, things that are actually helping me, and feeding that to people, hopefully to try and help them, better position themselves and make money in the market. So it's just not feeling fulfilled with myself unless I pushed out and helped other people as well, and actually getting feedback from that.
Do you think part of wanting to help other people was also from your dad and your family who said that you couldn't do it, that maybe you wanted to help other kids out there? Like, hey, even if they tell you no, I'll be the one to show you like there is a way.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, that's the thing as well. Families, you got to love your families. That's where, at the end of the day, they're your blood. But you will get told from people within your circle, people that you think, that have all your trust, that, everything that they say, you listen to everything that they say. And I was like that, with my family, with my mum, everyone, like aunts and uncles as well, all the same sort of thinking. And, you should not be put off if you feel that you can do something. It's within, in your gut, you've done some proper preparation to prevent poor performance. If you feel it's within you, do not let anybody, stop you from pursuing it. Even if to them, or even to them, it may seem silly, quitting safety, like leaving safety to try and, achieve greatness. Don't listen to them. Just do it. Because, a message is you will learn along the way. If you fail, this is great. It's just part of the process to growth. There's no successful person today has made it to where they have without failing many times. And then when you fail, you'll learn a blueprint to rebuild, and then you go and rebuild.
That's one of the great things that we're learning on this podcast. Ken, I want to break for a second and focus on this part that we're calling off limits. I'm going to ask you a few questions that not even you could have forecasted. You ready?
No.
Perfect. Let's start. So, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you would give to anyone trading Forex?
Look after your money. Look after your money. So, I mean that, if you're unable to preserve your capital, then you're going to have no life in Forex. Our whole purpose in Forex is, not to be sucked into get rich quick, because you can make money fast, but you can lose it plus a lot more faster. So it's preserving your capital, look after it like it's your baby, like it's your child, like it's your favorite pet. Protect that, and it will help look after you and serve you longer in the future. Capital preservation, key.
Nice. I like it. All right, next question. What's been your most successful trade?
My most successful trade was actually shorting the pound during Brexit. It was basically, I saw the votes came out. They voted yes to leave the EU. The pound plummeted like it was huge. You know, what we call in terms of pips, the initial move was like 500 pips, you know, about 3% move. And then it ended up, I knew there's times when the markets exhaust itself when it moves in one direction. It always has what's known as a technical pullback. So it came back to this technical pullback, and I enjoyed the move back down, and it was, you know, a nice 5-digit bit of profit there.
Always opportunities, even in the tough moments. All right, let's get back on track in this next part where we're talking about money and success. As you know, with Skrill, there are many ways to manage and move your money in dozens of currencies around the world. Tell us about how you use your Skrill account.
I use Skrill because it just makes moving my money fast and easy. And with my broker, obviously the broker is what we use when we're trading, we're depositing our funds or withdrawing our capital. I deposit at my broker using only my Skrill credentials. So it's just quick and easy and simple.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's any other ways that you use your Skrill account?
Yeah, to send money to friends just via putting in my email address. And obviously you can have multiple currencies, which makes things good because I've got friends across the globe.
You know, we talked about your love for travel, and obviously, you know, with your success, you've been able to enjoy a lot more travel. Does it help with your trading to understand global markets, or is it all just pleasure and no business?
No, do you know what? That's a very good question. Nothing at all to do with understanding the global markets further. No, not at all. There's a couple.
Really?
Yeah, there's a couple of things for me. One of the main ones is just obviously at the end of the day, is to explore different cultures. You know, travel makes you so you know, it makes you intelligent, right? Because you're understanding more about cultures, the way in which other people live their life. It puts you, you know, sometimes into a moment of realization. Wait, let me slow down a minute. Look how these guys are living their lives. Like, look at these people living in villages, you know, in Bali with like nothing but, you know, basic food and water. But these are the happiest people on the planet. You know, you think about these things. And on the trading front, it helps me. Why? Because like for me, trading is mundane. It's mundane. I'll tell you why, because you're sitting in front of the screen, you know, all day watching the price, watch your balance either go down or up, and they're both as damaging as each other. So for me, it's like removing myself from that environment, you know, where I'm just stuck in my office, stuck trading, and going to travel. You know, it's refreshing for the mind. Change is good, and yeah, I just think, like for example, taking trips to like Bali or parts of Thailand just help you know, refresh your mind a little bit and remove yourself. And I like to, so even when I'm traveling, I'll have like, you know, a portable setup. I'll have like my laptop, and I'll have like a couple of portable screens. So it's just being able to take that and put it somewhere, as long as there's stable internet connection, and change up my location. It's just really good for my mind. It's so magnifying and refreshing. So that's the main reason.
Nice. Listen, you've convinced me. I'm going to Bali. My next trip is to Bali.
Yeah, you see how I always reference Bali?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, Ken, you know, obviously you learned about the markets. You mastered the psychology of trading. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned from the financial side of success?
The biggest thing for me is getting your money working for you. What do I mean by that? Now, obviously, when we're in our normal jobs, you know, when we're working those specific hours within our jobs, that's when we're getting paid. You know, that's when we're getting paid. We're not getting paid anything outside of that. So we physically have to be, you know, present in that role, at that job, at that desk, or wherever we may be, to be making money within those hours that we're contracted to. So in that, seeing it like that, am I really going to be able to, so am I going to be working for the rest of my life? Ideally, I don't want to be. So it was when I started realizing, wait, this money that now that I'm extracting from the markets, and obviously, mainly it was initially from the markets. So now I take this money. What can I now do with this money? Because I'd started becoming more intelligent on the money management side of things. Let me start diversifying this income that I'm generating from the markets and putting it other places. So one avenue, for example, was putting it into stocks. So I put it into stocks as well. So stocks is you know, actually buying a percentage of a company, holding shares, and that is essentially letting your money work for you. So if the stock's going up in value, typically they are, you know, stocks are doing on average around 8 to 10% per year. So you're getting paid in the value of the stocks rising, but also companies pay dividends. So they pay you a dividend per share that you own. So it's earning money from trading, then putting it into stocks, also then putting it into cryptocurrency market. And then also I had like other business ventures as well. So it's taking some of your earnings and then putting them into other hustles, putting them to other avenues of where you could potentially generate some money and get your money working for you. So that literally, I know it's may sound cliche, but you generally want to get to a stage where you wake up in the morning and you've made some money, you know, from whatever hustles or an accumulation from all these different avenues where you've diversified your money. And that's the way in which you're going to set yourself up, and you won't have to work for the rest of your life. Instead, you're optimizing your own sources, independent sources of income. So that's the main thing for me about being able to get my money working for me.
How'd you learn to do that?
It's a good question. I just don't know. I just know what it was
just natural.
Yeah, no, it was kind of natural, to be honest with you. It was just like I needed to protect myself. Like as a trader, that, you know, there's days where you don't make money. You know, there's weeks where you don't make money. There may be a month when you don't make money. So I thought, look, at the times that I'm making good money, let me extract this and protect myself in case of, look, there might be a month or two where I don't have income. So I need to start putting it elsewhere. So it's just becoming more intelligent and aware that that I need to get myself stable, secure.
By failing a little bit, or by, you know, having that fear like right on your back, it kind of taught you that naturally.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, just as I say, just the exposure from that and learning that, you know, learning along the way, learning my lessons.
Did you read any books or like study, you know, anyone to be able to learn that as well?
Not really that specifically. In terms of like books though, I've read a lot of books. The book that really changed my life, my entire life, is The Secret. Okay. I don't know if you've read that, but it's a great book. They also have, so, you know, it's amazing. The way in which it opens up your mind, the way in which you should be thinking, like every one of your thoughts, your actions have an impact in setting up your future. So that really was something that helped change my life. On a trading side of things, there's a book called The Way of the Turtle. Now, the general gist of that book is that, you know, just take things slowly. You know, I know trading's very, very fast paced, but again, this comes down to psychology in knowing that everything that you're doing is all a marathon. You know, it's not a sprint. We're not Usain Bolt. We're Mo Farah, you know, in our journeys. You know, we don't want to, we know like there's overnight superstars. You know, we have these overnight fads, people that come into play and then they die out. They have no sustainability. They have no longevity. So take things slowly. And there's another book by Napoleon Hill, Think Rich, Grow Rich. And again, that's similar to sort of the thinking of the Secret, the same sort of concept, similar concepts there. And just the way in which you should be thinking and positioning yourself for your growth and your goals that you're going to hit down the line. So those are sort of some of the books I can think of off the top of my head that have had an impact on my life.
I could tell that they really impacted you just by the way that you're talking about them. When you read, and obviously I know The Secret, I know the one from Napoleon Hill. Did you have that inside of you already where you're thinking that, or did it completely change your mentality?
It completely changed my mentality. So part of the reason, if we just quickly rewind and go back to when I said about the corporate side of things, where I had to get myself right, it was speaking to one of my former employers, and she actually enlightened me to The Secret. And if it wasn't for that, you know, remember I said I was change the way I'm thinking, and I did not credit The Secret at the time when we had this conversation earlier, and I should have credited The Secret, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been changing the way in which I'm thinking, the way in which I'm speaking to you now. Before that, I was very, you know, negative. I wasn't taking, you know, I wasn't accounting, you know, basically I was just blaming everyone apart from myself when I should have had accountability. So yeah, it all comes down to you. You can change your circumstances no matter what circumstances you're in. And I know there's a lot of people that are going through some things across the world, but people do not think, they underestimate the power of just changing your thoughts, just seeing a little bit of optimism in things.
I think it's practical at the end of the day. It's always been the way that I think that, listen, you know, you might as well try to attract what you want in your life, because the opposite does nothing well for you either way. So you might as well do the right thing. I love this. The psychology from you is absolutely amazing. Just, you know, for someone who makes money for a living and who moves money for a living, you're going to like this next section, which we call your big money move. Could you tell us a time when, you know, you went in big, you went all in and you decided, you know, maybe it was you decided to go in alone or make an actual trade? Was there a big money move? And then did it actually pay off?
No, well, yes. One of my big money moves was into the cryptocurrency market. So, you know, I said before, you know, I take my profits out and I diversify. And one of those avenues was the cryptocurrency market. And a good friend of mine, Dan, also got involved. We got involved into a cryptocurrency, it's still around, known as XRP, or it's spawned from Ripple, so XRP. I got in at a time in which the price had obviously came down. My friend actually, he bought in at, you know, this is a typical person that gets in, you know, people that buy high, they buy high and they end up selling low. So my friend Dan, actually, I have to tell the story because it's quite funny. So this is his first ever investment. So he bought in at XRP when it was like at its record high, its peak high, when everyone was going crazy, this crypto boom. And, you know, he put everything into it. We were going on a massive road trip to the US. So it's like, you know, let me just make some money fast. Everyone's making money fast from cryptocurrency. And then, so as soon as he bought in, the next day, it went down like 5%. The next day, another 5%, then 10%. And then it was just going down and down and down. He bought it like $2.72, and then it ended up coming all the way down to like 30 cents. And every night I remember him calling me just in absolute hysterics. So lesson is, do not just jump into something because you think it's going to make you money fast. Research heavily about anything that you're going to get involved in. But yeah, back to me was I went in big on XRP. And I got impatient and I just ended up taking my money out. A week later, it jumped like 300%. So I missed out on life-changing money, mortgage money.
Wow. How do you deal with that, like, mentally?
It was tough. But then I thought, no, but then I'll be honest, just because I know in this market, there's always opportunities around the corner. Just like if you miss a taxi, if you miss a bus, guess what? It's another one coming down the road in the next couple of minutes. So that's how I always think. You know, if I miss this opportunity, I know there's going to be another one. And since then, there's been plenty of other opportunities that I've capitalized on.
Well, listen, that's amazing. I love that. I love that, you know, need to just keep pushing forward. You really have, you know, your mind game is so strong. I love it. Ken, I really want to say a big thank you to you for being on this episode. It's been absolutely amazing. I love everything that you've told us, from, you know, being doubted to coming back and then staying mentally strong even when the going gets tough. It's a great lesson for everyone out there. And thank you for being on.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved it.
Make sure you tune in for the next episode of More Ways to Make It with Skrill, where we'll be talking to TV producer, talent agent, and legendary professional poker player, Jamie Gold, the first person to win over $10 million in tournament poker. I'm not bluffing when I tell you it's going to be one hell of a show.